plan called Rex 84. North's plan was to suspend the Constitution and establish holding camps for protesters in the event of civil unrest if the United States invaded Nicaragua. The discussion of this plan came up during the Iran-Contra hearings, but was quickly gavelled down by the chairman and moved to closed-door session away from public scrutiny. The same groups who helped devise FEMA have created a global movement to centralize economic power in various puppet organizations that preach peace and stability through some variation of socialism, but act aggressively to draw nations into a web of foreign debt and servitude to their own agendas. The United Nations, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the Trilateral Commission, Bilderbergers, and Council on Foreign Relations all are committed to agendas of world domination through manipulation and monopoly of economic power. The Council on Foreign Relations, or CFR, openly admits to being a private club, yet it is the primary recruiting post for international banking and for the federal government of the United States. Richard Nixon, Nelson Rockefeller, John Foster Dulles, Dean Rusk, Alger Hiss, and every president since FDR, with the exception of Ronald Reagan, have been members of this exclusive club, where super financiers and your elected representatives can mix freely and plan the next step in the consolidation of power in a new world order. It's a new world order the money interests have been trying to impose on us for generations. But how is it, given the rights and powers available in the Constitution and elsewhere, that all Americans have come to be trapped in this economic bondage? The special money interests have used the complexities of our laws and our own patriotism against us. For instance, one of the first contracts we sign with the government is our application for a Social Security number, the SS5 form. Most Americans are under the impression that it is mandatory to have a Social Security number to be employed under the laws of this country. But even though you were probably never informed of this, the Social Security Act is, like the income tax, entirely voluntary. Entirely voluntary. Take a look at this letter from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. It states that Social Security is a voluntary system and that no one is required to get a number. But we do get a number because they never inform us that it is voluntary, and to obtain a number, you have to sign their contract. It's called an adhesion contract. That means you can't change it. You either sign it or you don't. And because we or our employers have been misled into thinking we are required to have a Social Security number to work, we signed. But in signing, we also declared ourselves to be subject to the laws and regulations of the corporate United States, the federal zone. We declared ourselves second-class citizens, 14th Amendment subject citizens, without even knowing it. And most of us did it before we were 18 years old. In that instant, we gave up our individual sovereignty without even having been informed we were doing so. Take a look at this letter from the Commissioner of Social Security. He says that the Social Security Administration has no authority to require an employer to provide or deny employment or services to anyone who refuses to disclose his or her number. This is a matter between the individual and the employer. We further establish ourselves as second-class citizens when we sign an IRS W-4 withholding allowance form, or the 1040 form itself. And there are numerous other adhesion contracts that we have been misled into signing. Were you ever informed of what you were signing away? Probably not. Fortunately, contract law provides the full terms of any contract or agreement must be disclosed in advance. And any time the terms of a contract are not disclosed to the person signing, it can be construed as an unconscionable contract and declared null and void from its inception by either party under the law. Hidden in the shadowy complexity of the IRS's limited authority are some of the facts which you need in order to rid yourself of the fear of it. Those facts are embedded in the thousands of pages that comprise Title 26 of the United States Code, the Internal Revenue Code. and understanding them is dependent upon understanding the special definitions for terms that are used in that code. Its text was written to be closed to the public. It is self-defining. But the code has now been cracked. The major elements have been identified and put together to help you regain your rights, your wealth, and your power. Besides your local library, there are dozens of constitutional research organizations and state citizenship foundations from coast to coast. When you are comfortable about where you stand, you will want to revoke your Social Security application and then rescind your signatures on all prior income tax returns, especially the first one. Then close existing bank accounts and open new accounts using properly executed W-8 foreign status certificates, or place you and your business under the protection of various types of trusts. In this way, you can remain out of the system and still control a bank account and conduct a business. Since federal regulations require all banks to be members of the Federal Reserve System, signature cards are just one way of enrolling you in their system and subjecting you to their jurisdiction. Another step to regain your individual sovereignty is to demand that the IRS prove their jurisdiction in writing and signed under penalty of perjury as required by IRC Section 6065. This demand is made under authority of the Freedom of Information Act, Title V, Section 552A. This will most often bring you a computerized response from the IRS stating as follows: based on the information you have provided, the account specified above is resolved. We may contact you in the future if further issues arise requiring clarification. At present, no further response is needed on the above account. But remember, there is no silver bullet. You must be prepared to defend your position. The best way to begin the study is to assert your sovereign citizenship of the state in which you live, instead of maintaining the false status of a 14th Amendment citizen of the United States. You see, what may still connect you to the corporate United States are any privileges you are getting. Privileges incur liabilities. Fundamental rights are inalienable. Many books and tapes are available to help you understand and assert your rights. Start asking questions. Start now. If you can't do your own research, then learn how to verify and test the things you hear. Watch out for self-styled gurus who can lead you into trouble but not out of it. Yes, it is true that the present government is operating outside the very law that is its only authority to exist. But it also has the banks, courts, judges, armed agents, and the U.S. Bureau of Prisons. This is not a government to be approached in ignorance or without preparation. It has become arrogant and familiar with power. It may not want to relinquish that power just because it is in the wrong. In time, you will have all the lawful power and tools you need to act in the mode and character of a sovereign citizen. Then you can share your knowledge with others and help all Americans to regain our freedom and our country. What you ultimately do is, of course, your choice. But remember, at stake is your future and the future of your children. In the words of Johann von Goethe, from more than 200 years ago, none are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free.